I just found this beautiful cabinet across the street. I'm gonna fix it up, put my art and books on it.
How nice that is.
Hello gorgeous, I'm Danielle Rosaria and I paint pictures. Today I'm going to show you a landscape that only took me 30 minutes to make and it was a lot of fun. I took a snapshot of a special place that's important to me and I used simple tools and a little bit of time to create a beautiful painting. Let's go. So you may or may not have a lot of time to paint, but painting is so enriching for the soul. And if you paint a landscape, you could do it in 30 minutes. This painting was inspired by me watching Paint Coach and his suggestion that a landscape should have layers, like a very far mountain, some closer mountains, some bushes, and some trees. If you have these layers of depth, you can really immerse yourself in the picture that way. And I was able to see a beautiful scene in our backyard that looked just like that. We were coming from an egg hunt right before Easter, my son and I. So it was also a special memory, a special place to me that added more emotion than, say, getting a stock photo off of the internet or something. There's really no connection there. But a snapshot is actually a great thing to paint from because it adds that layer of connectivity and that emotion to it. So we were walking and I saw Mount Baldy in the distance. That's our highest mountain around here. And then I saw layers of mountains and hills coming towards me. The mountains in the background are light colors, and then as the mountains come closer they become more vibrant, and that creates depth in the painting. So what I started with was a palette knife, and a few of you have mentioned that when you saw me start this process it looked really messy and you're like, whoa, what is she doing? It looks like a disaster. And I was using a recycled canvas and just spreading the white and phthalo blue all over this canvas. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to create the look of clouds and also like this freedom. And a lot of you said it like started out looking like a mess. And so then over that I put the Mount Baldy very light, just so I could differentiate between the clouds and the mountain. Very light. I wanted it to look like there was maybe some mist in between you and the mountain. And then I put some more purplish mountains in front of that and layered them, and then layered the more vibrant colors. Blues travel the farthest, so the things that are farthest back are going to be blue. And then as you get closer, you'll start to see greens and yellows and reds. So you want to save those colors for as you get closer to the view. And then I started to frame the dirt and the background. You don't have to add everything that you see in the picture. In fact, you want to leave some things out. Depends what you're going for. If you want it to be an urban landscape, then you can include cars and power poles. If you want it to be a more rural looking place, then you can leave those out. It's your painting. So I chose to leave them out and just put one little person so that I could create scale and interest in the picture. One little person walking. And then I think this is what ties it all together. I framed the picture with dark trees, using my palette knife again, and just scraping the dark green and then the light green so that it actually looks like leaves. And it's like a very free look to it. So this really, once you add this, it really all comes together. The dark in the foreground. So you go from very light to dark. And that makes it so you can go into the painting. It was a really fun process. Like I said, it only took me a half an hour, and I was really pleased with the results. It gives you that immediacy, that Southern California feel, that freedom and the outdoors, but also has a sense of realism because the paint itself creates its own details. You don't have to control every little thing. When you use the palette knife itself, and if you mix their paints but don't mix them all the way, then the palette knife will create its own details without you even having to work. So let me know in the comments if you try this technique with the palette knife or any other kind of impressionistic landscape. What are your thoughts? Do you think it looks messy? Do you like the details that the paint creates? What do you think? So thank you so much for joining me on this glorious spring day. I hope you get out, take some snapshots, get creative and inspired. Stay creative, my friend.